I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're diving into the gripping courtroom thriller, Hypnosis on Trial, Anatomy of a Murder Case. It's written by a terrific author. His name is Stephen Hrones. This fast-paced novel, inspired by a true story, explores the controversial use of hypnosis in a murder trial that could mean the difference between justice served or a wrongful conviction. Join us as we uncover how a detective, a hypnotist, and a savvy corporate lawyer clash in this compelling tale of crime and doubt. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel, by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
This is quite a story. It's based on a real-life murder in Boston back in 1979. Is that a murder you were connected to somehow, or it left an imprint on you, or had some kind of impact? Tell us why you chose to write on that story.
It was my trial. I was the lawyer, the defense lawyer, on the actual trial.
Yeah. In fact, I think I remember the name and the case from way back then. I was a news reporter in the late 70s and early 80s. That's why it all makes a lot of sense to me now. So you were the lawyer. Let's give the folks at home an overview of the case. A young woman is found murdered. Tell us what happened.
Well, before I get to that, I'd like to comment on how this case is different than any other crime novel. Mm-hmm. It's different in that it uses the actual transcript of the trial and frames the story around the transcript. Mm-hmm. You have other books and novels and crime stories that make reference to a trial. Mm-hmm. And the trial comes in at various points. But here we base the story on the transcripts from opening argument through cross-examination through final argument to verdict. Amazing. So I wanted to lay that out first to give some perspective to the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you were the lawyer on the case, who were you representing in the case? Were you representing the defendant?
Oh, sure, the defendant. I'm a criminal defense lawyer, and I was representing the defendant in this case.
Okay, so it's based completely on the transcripts of the case. It makes it a truly unique novel, and I think that's great. So let's tell the folks at home a little bit about the crime. A woman is found murdered in the Back Bay area in 1979, and there's kind of a rush to judgment on a suspect in the crime. Tell us what happened.
Well, the victim was a girl from a small town in Pennsylvania who wanted to escape the doldrums of small town America. And she came to Boston and she became the victim. She was one night going home and she met someone, the real killer, and went into a apartment building that was being renovated. And she was found the next morning dead. And of course, the investigation began immediately, but nothing seemed to result in the investigation. The police were very frustrated. And then a witness came along who said she knew the defendant and had been with him the night of the murder. And she said, I don't remember much about it. I know he came back after going out of the apartment. And the police officer said, well, we have a guy in the police department here who's a specialist in hypnosis. Would you be willing to be hypnotized? And she said, yes. So you have her being hypnotized. And that goes into detail. You hear the actual conversation between the police officer and her. And then you have at the trial, my bringing in an expert who testifies how unreliable the hypnotism result is. So what happens then is we go to trial, and there's another witness who said that my client admitted to the crime. So we have that problem. We have two main issues that we have to deal with. I could impeach that witness with a prior criminal record, but I had to impeach the victim. Now, what was crucial was before the hypnosis, she couldn't remember much other than his coming back to the apartment after leaving the night of the murder. But after hypnosis, she recalled that he had blood on his hands when he came back. And that was not something that she, quote, remembered. But the problem with hypnosis is the witness, after the hypnosis session, really believes that was her recollection. But the problem with hypnosis is the suggestive nature of the questioning. So the alleged hypnosis person thinks that's her actual thought. So it's very difficult to do cross-examination of a witness in that sense.
Yeah. In some ways, her testimony is tainted because she went under hypnosis, which is kind of like a dreamlike state where things may or may not be imagined. And now that she's out of hypnosis, she believes the things that she experienced while in hypnosis, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that makes very difficult to cross-examine this person because they actually believe that. It's not that they're lying. So normally with a witness, you try to bring out they're lying and they know they're lying. But here, it's very difficult to cross-examine. So now hypnosis is discredited in most jurisdictions because of its unreliability in the context of a criminal trial.
But back in 1979, I'd imagine this is kind of groundbreaking to use hypnosis to bring out so-called hidden testimony from a witness who has trouble remembering.
Exactly.
Yeah. And since then, because of your great work on this case, that procedure has been discredited because we see all the flaws in it. Because like I said a few moments ago, hypnosis, a hypnotic state is a lot like a dream, and dreams aren't reliable. They're imaginative states. And so this is quite a fascinating story you've put together. Have you envisioned this as a movie?
Not really.
Yeah.
If it came to that, I'd be very pleased.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think it'd be a terrific film. I hope somebody listening will pick it up, or if somebody finds your book and turns it into a film and contacts you. I think that'd be wonderful. Talk to us a little about Gus Grazi. He's the detective in your novel. Is he a real character? Is he a compilation? Did you use him simply as a storyteller? Tell us a little bit about him.
well, he's a real character, a crusty, hard-nosed detective at the Boston Police Department. And he went out there and headed up the investigation, but he was your typical cop, a cigar stomping homicide cop who was down and dirty as he had to be in order to investigate the case.
And was he out to pin this on your client, in your opinion?
Well, you know how the police work. If they get any evidence, they stop investigating. And they had enough on my client to suggest he might be the person. So they stopped the investigation at that point and focused on my client and my client alone.
Yeah.
And as I say, they had a dead end investigation. So they went to the hypnosis proceeding to get more on it. And he's not in the case much after that. But there's an extensive investigation in which you see exactly how police go about investigating a murder case.
Yeah.
And you notice in the title, it says Anatomy of a Murder Case. So this is what I've done for the public to appreciate this. You actually get to see how a murder trial takes place at each aspect of the case. So not only do you have a thriller, an exciting novel, which you can't put down, a lot of readers had said, you have the experience of learning about a trial situation, a criminal law trial situation.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very unique from that aspect. And I have attended many murder trials, and they are fascinating. And I know for the cops, careers are built on it. I know for the prosecutor, careers are built on it. And in some cases, even the defense attorneys' careers are built on it. So the stakes and the subtext of the murder trial is often what's going to happen to the prime players in this murder trial. And it's not necessarily the suspect or the victim, it's the lawyers and the prosecutor and the cops involved. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. It's
But
kind
one
of
other thing on hypnosis, it's still a tool that can be used outside the context of a criminal trial. In investigations, they still use it now, but the stakes are so high in a criminal trial that it's determined to be unreliable.
yeah. Yeah, they use it a lot, for example, when they're trying to track down somebody who's missing, right? They'll hypnotize people who might have limited knowledge or suppressed knowledge about what happened. So it is used as an investigative tool, but as far as eliciting testimony for a trial, your trial helped put the kibosh on that, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Well, this is quite a book you've written here. Have you written any other books? Is this your first time writing a novel?
The first novel, I've written academic books on the criminal law proceedings, a couple of those books.
Yeah.
One was how to try a criminal case. For
Wonderful,
the
wonderful.
layman.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody in Boston knows the name Stephen Hrones. You are a legendary attorney up in the Bay State, and we're glad that you have written this wonderful book. It is called Hypnosis on Trial, Anatomy of a Murder Case. It's written by Stephen Hrones. It is a fast-paced novel inspired by a true story that explores the controversial use of hypnosis in a murder trial that could mean the difference between justice served or a wrongful conviction. In the book, you will uncover how a detective, a hypnotist, and a savvy corporate lawyer clash in this compelling tale of crime and doubt. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate your time, your wisdom, and your insight, sir. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.